Okay, this is the lesson for 5.8 and 5, or just 5.8 from what we covered or supposed to cover on Friday, but due to our let's say abnormal circumstances did not get done. So I've got 1 and 2 here that we talked about in class on Friday. I'm going to work through some word problems to kind of give you a hand on where to go from there. So this is 1 and 2. Let's move on to the word problem. Okay. The German club collected the same amount from each member participating in a trip to a music festival when 6 members could not attend. Each of the remaining members were charged $2 more to cover the total cost of $360. How many members went on the excursion? Okay, so I'm going to let n be equal to the number of members who went. Okay, remember to define your variables. That'll make your life a little bit easier. Okay, now that means n plus 6 equals the number of members who planned on going or who should have gone. Okay, so we've got n and n plus 6. Now, when 6 members could not attend, each of the remaining were charged $2 more to cover the total cost of the 360. So total cost is equal to 360. All right, so we know that much, and we added 2. So I want to know the rate each member should have paid whoa, paid. Okay, so if it was $360 total and n plus 6 we're supposed to go, then 360 divided by n plus 6 is the rate that should have gone. Okay, now let's see the rate they actually paid. Alright, so that's how much they were supposed to pay. And when they couldn't attend, each of the remaining members were charged $2 more to cover the total cost of $360. Alright, so we've got that. We know that they were, and then so to even it out, we had n went, so the rate for n members to go is then just 360 divided by n. Okay, so I know the original rate. Original rate plus $2 should equal the new rate. Okay, so the original rate again was 360 divided by n plus 6. We added $2 and that should equal the new rate. Okay, so let's go through solving this. Alright, so least common denominator is n and n plus 6. So I get n times n plus 6, n times n plus 6, n times n plus 6. I get 360 over n plus 6 plus 2 equals 360 over n. Alright, so simplify some stuff because it cancels. N plus 6's cancel, n's cancel, and so I get 360n plus 2n squared plus 12n equals 360n plus whatever 6 times 360 is, and 6 times 360, that's 1800 plus another 360 is 2160. Okay, get everything on the same side. Some stuff does cancel. 360n and 360n cancel. So I'll get 2n squared plus 12n minus 2160 is equal to 0. Divide everything by 2. And I get n squared plus 6n minus 1080 equals 0. Okay, so now I got to figure out what this is. We can use the quadratic formula if we want, or we can factor. Either of those work. So I'm going to factor it just because I know what the factors are. 36 and 30 equals 0. You can use the quadratic formula. So n is equal to negative 36 or n is equal to 30. Okay, so n is what? N is the total number of members who went. 30 members. Remember, we throw out the negative 1 because, it's negative. We can't have a negative number of members. Okay, what's that one? Okay, let's look at another one. Here's the whole thing. Can't quite fit the whole thing on. There's the whole thing. Okay. Crane A can unload the container ship in 10 hours, and Crane B can unload it in 14 hours. Crane A started to unload the ship at noon and was joined by Crane B at 2 p.m. At what time was the unloading job of the ship complete? Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to let T be equal to the time to unload the ship. Not unload the ship. The time. Oh yeah, that's the time. No, it's time Crane A worked. We'll look at it that way. Time Crane A worked. That is the total time that it takes to unload the ship. Okay, that makes T minus 2 equal the time Crane B worked, because it started at 2 p.m. Crane A started at noon, so 2 less hours. Okay, so Crane A 1 over 10 is equal to Crane A's rate, and 1 over 14 is equal to Crane B's rate. Okay, so we've got that, and so we get a couple of things. We get 2t times 1/10 plus t minus 2 times 1/14 should be equal to 1. All right, that should be equal to 1 because we have the time it takes Crane A. The time it takes Crane A is t times its rate plus the time it takes Crane B times its rate should be equal to the entire container ship. Okay, so let's solve that. Let me rewrite that a little bit. That's t over 10 plus 2 minus t over 14 is equal to 7, or is equal to 1. We want to multiply by the least common multiple. The least common multiple is 70. You could do 140 if you want, but when we do that, we get 70, 70, and 70. T over 10 plus t minus 2 over 14 equals 70 times 1. Some stuff cancels. 70 and t gives me 7. 70 and 14 gives me 5. And then I've got 70 at the end there. So I have 7t plus 5t minus 10 equals 70. I've got 12t is equal to 80. And so I have t is equal to 80 over 12, or 6 2/3 hours. All right, so that's that one. And let's do one more. A nurse wishes to obtain 800 milliliters of a 7% solution of boric acid by mixing 4% plus 12% solutions. How much of each solution should be used? Okay, so sometimes it helps to make like a little box for this. Alright, so in our little box, we've got a 4% solution, a 12% solution, alright, and then you've got a final solution. Alright, so in our box, we want to know milliliters of solution, okay, times our percent boric acid. That'll equal the milliliters of boric acid. Okay, so I don't know what my percent or how many milliliters of solution I have, but I do know if I have 4% boric acid, I have 0.04x. I know there were 800 total milliliters of solution, so there's 800 minus x milliliters of 12% solution, and it's 12%, so I get 0.12 times 800 minus x. My final solution has 800 milliliters at 7%, which gives me 0.07 times 800. So what I know is the top two columns should, if I add those together, I should get the bottom, or the top two rows, and I should get the bottom row. I have 0.07 times 800. Okay, so I'm going to multiply times 100. That'll give me 4x plus 12 times 800 minus x equals 7 times 800. Okay, so that gives me 4x plus 9600 minus 12x equals 5600. I get negative 8x equals negative 4000. So x is equal to 500 milliliters of x and 300 milliliters of 12%. Alright. That should cover most of the problem types that you will see. Okay, so we got milliliters of solution times percent boric acid will give me the milliliters of the boric acid. So x times 4%, 800 minus x times 12%, and 800 times 7%. 7% gives me 0.07 times 800. The top two rows should add to equal the bottom row. Okay, so that should get you through 5-8, and we'll cover the rest tomorrow.